everybody. Welcome back.
Hello.
This is Bad Marriages in the Bible, and we are your hosts. I'm Sean.
I'm Kate.
And we are Dandelion Ministries, where we create space for you to experience the grace of Jesus Christ in your place of need. As I like to always say, because if you're not feeling it where you actually need it, or you're not knowing His grace where you actually need it, then what's the point? This isn't just a head trip or some sort of mental exercise. It's actually hearing a word of hope where you have otherwise numbed out or tried to stuff and hide and
Where you're feeling ashamed.
Yeah, you felt like you're never going to ever be loved there, or anyone could ever love you if they knew about that place. That's what we care about, and that's what the scriptures are all about too. This is the good news of Christianity, that God actually meets us there and brings freedom and love and forgiveness for us there. So we do that through all sorts of things, this podcast being one of them, but also retreats and conferences and creative evangelism and just art in general. So that's us.
Welcome.
You have probably heard that before if you've listened to this podcast ever. And
you can skip the 30 seconds.
You can't. You have to make sure everybody listens to every word. So you've got us probably on 1.5 times anyway. So I sound like a little mouse, very high, pitched.
Do you listen to things on 1.5 times?
Sometimes.
Wow.
If I'm in a hurry.
I've never done that before.
Yeah, it goes quicker. Not that you should do that. You should take your time when you listen to Bad Marriages in the Bible. But here we are. We are in Hosea. We're walking through the scriptures, looking at the relationships, the very human relationships, because that's all there are, and seeing how God brings His love and redemption, His forgiveness in those places, because it's those places where we feel our need the most often. It's when it's reflected back to us. It's in our broken marriage. It's in our rough relationship with our siblings or with our parents or with our best friend that's on the rocks right now or whatever, or close coworker, whatever it may be, boyfriend, girlfriend. These are the places where we feel our desperation for love and how often we come up short. And so we need a good word there. And that's all the Bible's full of. It's just full of humans relating to each other and trying to relate to God.
Words.
Yeah, and realizing that they need grace from God all the time.
So the framework of this is that God is a lover, is our lover. So this Lutheran theologian I like, Robert Jensen, he has this quote saying, God is first and foremost a lover, and so therefore he is jealous. So he, cares about us and wants us to be with him.
Yeah.
And so you will hear the strength of his love and passion for us, even in his anger and frustration at our sin. And then you'll also see the strength of his wrath against our sin in order to rescue us from it and bring us back in our right mind to be close in communion with him.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the big framework for Hosea, as we talked about last time, is it's in a time of prosperity. The northern kingdom of Israel is doing great, and everybody, the stocks are up, everybody's spending. It's like good times economically.
Good times economically in Israel.
They've almost regained the glory of their former kingdom under King David and Solomon. But yet the northern kingdom, it set up a different temple and put a golden calf in it in Samaria. And so they are worshiping. They kind of have this Jewish background, this Hebrew God background. They were all delivered from slavery, through the miracles of the Red Sea parting and all those plagues. So they have that shared history, but they have now branched off into their own hybrid, their own idols.
It's syncretism, and it's, they're marrying the cultures around them with their own, and they are, it's like if you've ever watched like Gladiator or any of those movies with like kind of the Roman gods, it's like you got to in one sense, there's this kind of, I'm just going to cover my bases and pray to all the different gods. Or if you've seen Talladega Nights, when Ricky Bobby thinks he's burning and he starts crying out to all the different religions that he can think of, it's that kind of thing, but it wasn't a joke. It was a real thing. And it's something that we do. It's something that we do reflexively. We may not call them by the names of Baal, which is the main false god that existed in the ancient Near East. It's kind of the sun god, and it's one that we've heard before as we've been walking through the Old Testament, where Baal is like the adversary, as it were, but it's actually not real. That's one of the things that we're gonna see in this chapter again. It's attributing things that God actually does for us to someone else, to a false god. And but we do it all the time. We substitute things in this world, the created things, for the creator. And that's kind of the main way you can distinguish between an idol and God himself.
The main one,
everything, and the things that we attribute God qualities to are created things, like bulls, you just said, or the sun, or the rain, or whatever. People.
Right. Or in America, Jesus was calling out money.
Money for sure. Yeah, money is like even less of a thing, because it's just an agreement that we all have. It's like actually not real if you think about it. It's just paper and metal, and we've attributed worth to it, and then we worship that worth that we've attributed to it. But that shows you how fickle our hearts are.
So those would be some of the contemporary idols, the contemporary Baals, or just the god of productivity, or your career. Making a name for yourself in your career. When that becomes the main thing that drives you, there will be collateral damage. When it becomes the main thing that drives you outside of God. That's what he's saying. God is like so jealous. So this is where we will wrestle. You'll be like, honestly, can I not have any other important thing? You have to be the most important thing. And yeah, that's the message.
He is the most important thing. This is the thing is, though, this is what which we're going to get to. It feels like the reason why this sucks is because it's law, in the sense that this is what God is doing in this. He's telling you the first commandment, I will be your God, and you will be my people. And there's a promise in there where he's saying, I'm going to be your God. He didn't have to come choose us. He didn't have to do any of that, but he does. But the law in it is that you should love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength.
Yes.
That's the law. That's it's the first tablet. It sums up the whole first tablet of commandments, where it's your relationship between God, or your relationship with God. And it is law that he should be number one, no matter what, all the time, every time, everywhere, anywhere.
Yes.
And he's not. That's the reality, is like that for us, that we are always looking for something else.
Right. Because of the sin.
Because of our sin.
That just sort of makes us crazy. And we're like, no, possibly. No. There's other things that are better.
Yeah. So anyway, that it is to expose the fact that we don't love him the way that we should, which we've said before. And the thing that changes is when actually the word of grace and the gospel and the promise of Jesus's love for you, when that is given to you again and again and proclaimed to you, it's not hard. There's no trying anymore in this whole thing with loving God. It's just like, oh my gosh, you respond out of gratitude. It births in you faith and love for him. So that's what's working here. That's what we're working with here.
It changes into a promise that you have a husband who adores you.
Yes.
Adores you and is providing all of the things that you need. They are sourced in him. And he not only has life after death in heaven with him prepared, but also meeting you over and over again with the strength of his promises, his presence, his healing, his forgiveness, his redemption. Yeah. That's what this is about, redemption. And so So the promise is there. And the change from seeing him as like some big, ugly, from seeing him through your sin, like, how could you possibly want me to worship
so
you
demanding
alone?
and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that.
To seeing him as the love of your life
Mhm.
and the one who has rescued you and redeemed you. That change happens by experience the cross of Christ.
Yeah, the death and resurrection.
Which we see reaching back through into the Old Testament here. And God has to pry our hands off of the things that we are clutching to. So he's got to pry our hands off of those things by showing you a mirror about what those things are doing and how stuck in them you are. And seeing, oh, wait a second, when I'm trying to be my own God, I become a slave.
Mm.
But when you are, thank God that you are God for me and love me and have my redemption and my rescue in mind, then it changes. That's how the change happens.
It does.
When you actually believe that. That's a gift, the gift of faith, when you believe that was for you.
Yeah, and it's the when that promise is applied to you, when your eyes are opened. Like, this is the process, as Kate just said. When he gives you that mirror and your eyes are opened to how helpless you are with this idol, whatever it may be, and how it actually is destroying you, or you're blowing up your entire life.
Yes.
It's in that moment when his word of grace and gospel of I love you, I forgive you, you're mine, I'm never letting you go, I know all about this, and I'm not running out the door. When that word comes to you, then you're just like, the faith comes. It's just that, like you said, it births faith. It has this response of being completely grateful. It's the whole thing. When you're drowning and you're drowning and someone throws you the ring or the life vest, you grab hold of it with everything you've got and you're not letting go because it's going to save your life.
Right.
It's new life. And so this is what we're talking about.
Yes.
So we should get into the chapter.
Let's do it. Join us in Hosea chapter 2, where God has just called Hosea, this prophet, to marry a woman named Gomer who he knew would cheat on him if she was not already cheating on him already. And then to name their children
No Mercy and Not My Children.
Yes.
Not My People. No Mercy and Not My People, which they're actual Hebrew names for those things. And I don't remember them right off the top of my head. We're going to look at the Bible, as we all should.
Right. And that's part of the mirror that Hosea is prophetically acting out, this mirror to the northern nation of Israel, but also to Judah, who's watching. And Judah was like where he came from, but he was sent to Israel.
Right. So it's Lo Ruhama, which means no mercy, and Lo Ami, which means not my people. So those are the Hebrew names that Hosea had to give to his poor kids. And but as Kate said, it was because God is making a very big point here.
Yeah.
And we're going to see where this is going really quickly in chapter 2 here.
Yeah. So he's cracking through any sense of like taking God for granted and like, oh no, I'm good with God. Like, without actually having any faith in him.
Right.
Without experiencing the need for your own forgiveness. So the chapter 2 is actually bookended in words of redemption. So the very names that Sean you just listed, he says, say to your brothers, you are my people, and to your sisters, you have received mercy. And then the end of chapter 2 will return to that idea. And I will have mercy on no mercy. And I will say to not my people, you are my people. And he shall say, you are my God. But that's what we're getting to, the response of those children saying, you are my God.
And that's
that heart change.
Right. That's the fruit of the gospel, which we will see. It's not the fruit of the commandment. The fruit of the commandment is death.
Yes.
And that's because the commandment always exposes sin for what it is.
Yes. That's all it can do.
That's all it does.
It can't give you the ability to have a heart change.
Right. But we're going to get there. So he says this, the front end, he reminds them that they have received mercy, that they are his people. And then he tells them, go tell your mother, referring to Israel, referring to the collective of them all, to stop whoring, to stop doing what she's doing, and tell her to quit this, cut it out. And which again is a word of law. It's a command. Plead with your mother, plead, for she is not my wife, and I am not her husband. That she put away her whoring from her face and her adultery from between her breasts, and this is where the punishment comes, lest I strip her naked and make her like a wilderness and make her like a parched land and kill her with thirst. That is verse 3. And he says again, upon her children I will have no mercy, because they are children of whoredom, of what she has done. So he's being very clear here. On one front, he's telling Hosea to tell the people to plead with their mother, which basically plead with yourselves as a people, to stop doing this. And God knows that this is not going to happen. Just telling somebody to stop doesn't work. They already know. The reality is, this is the truth. All of us, the Bible is very clear that the law is written on our hearts, and we do know this. It's called your conscience. And unless you're literally a sociopath or something, that you have a mental illness, it's not right to kill anybody. You know that you shouldn't lie. You know that you should, not steal. These things from the Old Testament, from the Ten Commandments.
And perhaps even somewhere in there, that you're not God.
Yes. And that you should love. Like, that's the positive side of it, is I should be loving. And but we don't all the time. Most of the time we're angry.
But that person in my family from the other political party, I just hate them.
Yeah. Or spend a day in New York City. Like, it's a joke in movies where, like, I love New York, they're just very nice people, and then always somebody honks at them and swears at them. Like, this is the joke. And it's not like New York is especially bad. It's just there's so many people in one place, a small place, trying to get to the same place together.
Right. In the country,
angry.
You will experience ostracization. I can't even say the word. Yes. You will be ostracized and judged in the country, but only by one or two really strong people.
Yeah, and there's just more space, so you don't have to deal with it. You're like, well, I don't see them because they live a few miles away. In New York City, you get on a subway in the morning. I remember this when we used to commute, and you're packed in like sardines on this hot, terrible thing, and you have to get downtown or wherever you're going, and everybody's trying to get there, and everybody's in a rush, and everybody's late, and you're all in each other's way.
Yeah.
And it is, you just watch humanity be humanity.
We hated everybody. We'll just speak for ourselves.
Sure.
So yes. So the middle. So we've talked about the bookend of chapter 2 is one of redemption, but the middle is really what experiencing the cross is, where you are getting this word of conviction. You're seeing a mirror about the ways that you are treating other people and ways that you are treating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you are held to that standard, God's standard of love, and you are found wanting.
Yes. Yep. And so that is the verdict. And he knows they're not going to do it. So he tells them to plead with them. This is something also that God does very clearly in Scripture too, is that it's never like a surprise. He never makes it a surprise when he brings the word of conviction. It's not like people are just like going along and like doing everything great, and we're like, we're great, everything's great, we're great, everybody's great. He sends people and tells them, this isn't going well. You're not doing it. What's going on? And he does it again and again and again and again, and he tells them judgment is coming. So it's one of those things about his mercy too, that he shows like, I'm going to do this. I've been very clear with you. And he does that to show us again our helplessness. Yeah. And that we need
a word from the outside.
Yeah,
we cannot generate this from our own inner spark.
That's right.
Or our own heart, or our own goodness.
And the reality is that you do know it. Like that, tell an addict that they should stop doing heroin or whatever, they know it's not made their lives great. They're usually on the street, struggling, lost all their relationships, whatever it may be. And the problem is not the knowing. It's that they have no ability to do it.
And so it gets into Hosea, gets into the strength of that
That's right.
helplessness that Sean was talking about in verse 5 and verse 12. For their mother has played the whore. She who conceived them has acted shamefully. For she said, I will go after my lovers who give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax, my oil and my drink. So she is attributing all of those things that God gives to her,
right?
That God gives to us, as I've been getting these from my other lovers, from the money, from the career, from all these other sources.
Yeah.
Exactly, the Baals.
Yeah.
And in returns, this description comes again in verses 12. I will lay waste her vines and her fig trees, of which she said, these are my wages, which my lovers have given me. So all of these things have been given to me by my lovers. Look, it's so great. So we are unable to turn horizontally. People are kind of wrestle with, do we make choices? Like, don't we make choices? Are we totally helpless? You make horizontal choices all the time.
All the time.
But the one that matters, the vertical choice to choose God, we are helpless about. And our battles and our struggles, our internal struggles, we need an invasion of mercy and of grace. We need a word from the outside that is not coming from our own heart, but that is backed by a God who loves you and has done something about it.
Yeah. I mean, when we do succeed, as it were, when we're kind of like doing it a bit and making it.
We're on the X. We've lost the weight.
We love to attribute it to ourselves. I mean, this is the crux of the thing. It's like, yeah, we may not have little idols set up in our houses, although you may have little altars to things, but the hardest one is that we love to take credit for it.
Yeah.
And we love to say, look what I did. Look how great I am. Oh my gosh, I'm really good at this, and I am actually the best.
Well, that is the movement of self-optimization.
Yeah, and this is like, that's the most insidious one, and that's also the thing that infects our view of how most people think Christianity works, because we so very often go off message because we love to think God is sitting there holding out to us choices.
And rewarding good people.
Yeah, and if we just make the right choice, then we've done it right. And we're better than the ones who have made the bad choices. And that is, most people think that's how the Bible works, that's how Christianity works, and they actually just haven't read it. They're not paying attention.
Right. If you're gonna reject Christianity, reject it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And that is not Christianity.
Yeah. Instead, Christianity is way worse. I mean, on one level, because it's telling you that you're dead. You're dead. And you don't have the choices you make are all expressions of your bondage, of your being trapped, where you go and take credit for things that God has done. You take credit for gifts you have received and attribute them to your own effort.
And she's stuck in this passage. She's stuck at being her own God. She's saying, I'm getting all these things from my other lovers. They're the source. She's the one that's making the big decisions.
Yeah. And so that's the real thing that needs to be killed. And we hate it. Let me tell you. We all run the other way as hard as we can. This is why God has to run after us and come get us. So when any of us sit in judgment upon anybody else, which is what we do all the time, think of Jesus's parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. The tax collector goes in, can't even look up. He's looking at the ground. He knows he's just a jerk. He's cheated everybody in the town probably to make money. And he knows that he's just a complete sinner. And the Pharisee goes in and sees him and is like, thank you, God, that I'm not like that guy. I mean, we all do this. Find the person. It may not be the addict. Maybe you're really generous and lovely towards the homeless. That's great. But if you're a Republican, just think of a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, think of a Republican. Think of the person that you think in life that is just like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not them. There you have it. And this is why we need God to come and save us, because the reality is you are them. We are all in the same boat. This is what God is showing us. We are she. We are her in this passage.
Yes.
And we are desperate for him to save us. And he does. That's the thing that we see after he lists all these things and shows again, like he's not pulling any punches and he's not leaving anybody out there doubting. He's like, this is why this is happening. This is what you've done. And that is not okay. And so, but then he goes on in verse 16, he says, in that day, declares the Lord, you will call me my husband, and no longer will you call me my Baal. So he is saying to her, you have attributed, like Kate just said, you've attributed all these good things to some other God. I'm the one who's given them to you. So you're going to stop mislabeling everything. You're going to stop attributing all this to someone else. You're going to actually remember who I am. And he said, there's this wonderful passage. Sorry, I bumped my mic. Right before that, verses 14 and 15, that Kate's going to explain to us, where he talks about this valley of Achor. He's talking about bringing her back to himself. I will allure her, and I'll bring her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her. And there I will give her her vineyards and make the valley of Achor a door of hope. And she shall answer as in the days of her youth, as at the time when she came out of the land of Egypt. So he's reminding them of when he delivered them in Exodus. But what does the valley of Achor mean?
Yeah, well, it's shorthand for referencing a longer story that happened in Joshua, the book of Joshua, chapter 7 and 8, where there was God was helping Israel conquer, or helping the Jews conquer the land of Canaan. And so he had said, when you take Jericho, the first city, don't take any plunder. You're meant to trust me to provide everything for you guys. And the way they took Jericho was like a total miracle, and they didn't actually.
They didn't have to lift a finger. They just blew their trumpets.
Yeah, and God brought the walls down through music and rhythm, and it was wild.
And shouting.
And so, but there was one guy who broke that command and snuck some of the spoil. And in chapter 7 and 8, it gets uncovered. It gets uncovered because they fail in their next battle, which is against a much smaller city. They, outnumbered them. They should have won that battle easily, but they lost it and lost, soldiers. And they have to bring judgment. Joshua, he resisted. He's like, oh, I don't want to do this, but he has to punish the guy who hid all of the spoil, and they have to get rid of it. So you get a taste for what the consequences of our sin are, and it's death. And you don't know about this guy, Achan, or Achan. You don't know about his eternal salvation. Maybe, he certainly does repent before it has to be dragged out of him, but he certainly does repent before he is given capital punishment. But God is keeping them on a short leash and being like, this is my word is what I need you to follow. And there are consequences when you don't. And these are they. And so there are, so it's feeling the full weight of the consequences of your sin. That's what the valley of Achor is shorthand for. When you have had that, emotional affair on text, and then your kid finds it out, and your spouse finds out that you've been cheating, and you face the consequences of your actions, and it gets found out, and you have to walk through the consequences of those. That's the valley of Achor. And
Yeah.
so God is saying, I know that you all have a huge, all of the consequences of your sins, most importantly, the ones against me. But they are all weighing against you in the balance, but I'm here for forgiveness. I'm here for redemption. And so he's going to turn the valley of Achor into a door of hope where you are loved. You have somebody standing with you and for you and advocating for you right when your hand is caught in the cookie jar and you're guilty.
At your worst, yeah.
You're at your worst. We're craving for being loved at our worst. And here you have God loving this unfaithful bride at her worst and prying her hands off of her lovers and returning her to him through forgiveness and redemption, through that valley of Achor, and making it into a door of hope.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately, pointing towards what Jesus did on the cross. So it's reaching back into history and forward into the future that God has forgiven, and he's a God of redemption.
That's right. And this is how, this is the death and resurrection moment, and that valley of trouble. Achor just means trouble. Valley of trouble is where you actually, the place that used to be, we've talked about this before on the podcast, the place that used to be your greatest area of shame, where you felt the most accusation and the most internal pain, and fear, like Kate just said, that no one would love you here, now becomes the door of hope. Now it actually becomes your testimony. And it's the thing now that you boast in, as Paul does. Paul says, I boast in my weakness, because that's where the strength of Jesus is shown, is the fact that he is actually stronger than my greatest rebellion. He's stronger, than the areas of regret. He's stronger than the places where I've always hidden. And he is actually there, the one who has said, I love this person. I love Kate. I love Sean. I love you, whoever you are out there listening. And I love you here. And I've paid for this. It's not yours anymore. I've taken this sin. It's not yours. It's mine. And now what you have here is actually my grace and forgiveness. And this is the story you need to share with others, because they're all carrying it too. I mean, everybody's got that place. Go watch K-pop Demon Hunters. I mean, this is the thing, all our areas of shame, all our areas of pain. Watch K-pop Demon Hunters, watch Moulin Rouge, go watch all these movies where we see someone who doesn't deserve the love and the being cherished is. And it actually, they are loved there and they are cherished there. And then then there's transformation. And so it's picking up on this. And this is what God is doing here and and showing us in the second chapter. The first chapter was pretty heavy, although there was also his promises of redemption in there. The second chapter, as Kate said, bookends with the words of hope that undoes the words of condemnation that he's already given, and we see how this moment of gospel, how he actually comes and loves and is, takes her areas of shame and changes them and gives her all these promises. He goes on after this, after he said the thing about, I'm going to remove the names of Baal from your mouth. I'll make for you a covenant on that day. And the beasts of the field that were actually tools of judgment earlier, in verse 12, the beasts of the field will devour her and devour all of the people. Now they're actually going to be the witnesses of how God is saving them. And it's one of those great moments for all of the pacifists out there. I will abolish the bow and the sword and the war from the land, and I will make you lie down in safety. I mean, that's what we all hope for. It's what every beauty queen says that they're pulling for, peace on earth. And he's promising it to her and to us. And then he says, I'll betroth you to me forever. And I'll betroth you to me in righteousness and justice and steadfast love and mercy. And I'll betroth you to me in faithfulness. And that's an interesting thing. It's definitely the marriage language. What is going on there?
Well, he's saying, I'm going to not only marry you, but I'm going to pay the bride price. And the money, the currency that he's using is righteousness and justice and steadfast love and mercy and faithfulness.
Mm.
So that's the money that God is using to remarry remarry her.
To take, I mean, we all are, living in the 21st century, and we're all kind of trying to be, more sensitive feminists and all that. So I know the idea of a bride price might grate at some of your ears, but this is actually a beautiful thing. He's taking this practice. It still happens. We've shared about it, I think, on this podcast before. I've been to Africa many times in the last few years, and that is one of the main concerns that the young men have there that don't have cows, because they're all living in cities now, and they're like, I'm not going to be able to get a bride because I don't have any cows to give her, her dad. So it's a thing still for lots of cultures. But it is God saying, like, I'm going to pay everything that is required, everything that's necessary to save you. And it's not cows, it's righteousness.
Yeah.
It's the demand of the law. Remember, the law is saying you need to love. You should love the Lord your God with all your strength, mind, heart, and soul. You should love your neighbor as yourself. That's the price. And he's saying right here, I'm going to actually pay the price. I'm going to give righteousness. I'm going to give you what you need. And the thing that the law demands, I meet in my son, in the gospel. And you can't, and I do it for you.
And the fruit of that is that, she'll now see that, he's going to provide everything for her, everything that the Baal represented, which was, rain for the crops and agricultural fertility and, sexual fertility, having kids, everything producing grain and crops, that she would see that that's coming from God. And he would be providing, all of the earth is in kind of harmony, providing for her. So you can almost see in chapter 2, as we've been discussing it, it's almost got two sections. The first section where he is prying her hands off of her lovers by hemming her in and blocking the cutting off the drug dealer, and removing that, so she sees how strongly she's attached to it. So by hemming her up and hedging her in, and that's like the word of the law that's killing your sin and exposing it for what it is, in order to bring you to the second half, which are the tender words of a loving father, of an adoring husband, of a family at peace, of a provider, and somebody who's receiving it and needing all of it and grateful. So you can almost see the emotional weight of what those words of God feel like, and how he is acting upon us, even by reading these words, and what we relate to the most, and what's feeling convicted in our hearts as we read them. And then what's being really reassured, that God is not leaving us alone or hanging, and loves us too much to let us run after our idols. You have a God who's like fighting, who's fought for you and won. We all want that kind of love. And here in the scripture, it's written down for us to know.
That's right.
And in the person of Jesus, like when you are like, I'm not sure God really loves me, like Jesus is real. And he's showing you that he does.
Yeah. So that's the word for you today, that this is for you, that he has actually shown you mercy. You may feel like you've received no mercy, but this is telling you that he has given you mercy. And you may feel like you're not, you don't belong to God, or that anybody loves you, but he's saying you are my people. And he's saying to you that his son Jesus has died for you and taken your sin from you. It's not yours anymore. And you're forgiven, and you're loved, and you're free in him. and it is going to actually change everything.
Mm.
So thank you for listening, guys. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we will be back with Hosea 3 next time. And as always, in the show notes, you can check out our website, dandelionministries.org. You can support the show. Everything that we do is through charitable gifts. And then also you can send us your questions and or prayer needs to my email that's there. As always, please subscribe, tell your friends and family, review the show, and we hope you have a great week.
Thanks for your time.